Welcome in, guys. It is another episode of the Scarves and Spikes ratings, player
That's
rating.
right. W.
Catching
Got a
that
W.
We got a little bit of history that was made last night. It is, as we record this, it is the first day, so +1 of the first time Atlanta United has ever beat the Red Bulls in the regular season.
Feels good.
Hallelujah. It is a great day. So
sun came up and I was in a good mood this morning. I'm always in a good mood, essentially, but yeah, feels good, man.
And I think, we were all really, really close on our predictions. I was really hoping for that second goal because I said 2-0. I think, Tommy, you said, 3-1?
Yeah.
And it easily could have been 3-1 if we consider everything. And then Sydney, you were 1-1, if I'm not mistaken. And it easily could have been 1-1. So it was all pretty close. Unfortunately, nobody got it again. But
in Vegas, I got it right. I said 1-0 Giakoumakis goal. So
look at that.
Yeah.
So how much did you win?
It was like $5 to win 20.
Oh, look at that.
Okay.
That's a I don't know, a 12-pack of beer or something.
Exactly.
There you go. All right, we'll dive straight into it. Going with the first player who I don't think we've hit on him at all this season in this show, if I'm not mistaken. But the first one is going to be Juanjo Purata. You got to read the fine print on mine.
You guys are. Oh yeah, fine print.
All right, I'm ready.
Fine print, yeah.
All right,
here we go.
Show it.
Oh wow, it was the highest here.
Oh, look at
I
that.
gave him an 8.5.
I got a 7.9, but I gave him a +1 para inglés. So
I put 7.
Okay. I gave him a little bit extra because he's been doing his interviews in English, and I think that's great. But
I think I was probably where you guys were with like around the 7. But like I said on Spaces yesterday, if there was any type of scrum after a play, that man was running so quickly to the scrum to get into it and to make sure that everybody knows not to mess with Almada, Aruju. I think Wiley went down at one point and he ran straight over and like pushed the guy out of the way. He's a teammate, and we talked about it that physicality wise, we really haven't had it over the years. And now you've got Ibarra doing it, and now you've got Purata ready to stick up for teammates. That's great. That's why I gave him the extra points.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tommy. I agree. He had a good game. He wasn't perfect. That's why I kind of docked a few points. But when it mattered, when he needed him to be there to make a play defensively, he was there. And I think it was overall one of his better games in Atlanta United uniform since he arrived here. I mean, the hat trick notwithstanding, of course, but from a defensive standpoint, you needed him to be there to step up in that center field partnership with Miles Robinson, who was terrific, by the way. But again, making the plays that he needed to, especially later on when things got hairy and you're kind of holding your breath, hoping that Red Bulls didn't equalize and rob Atlanta United of 3 points. But he stayed composed, he stayed focused when it mattered, and at the end of the day, it's a win against a team you've never beaten in the regular season, the 3 points, and Juanjo is a big part of that.
Yeah, I think from a center back perspective, this was his most complete game. Obviously, yeah, like you said, Sydney, the hat trick last year, like that's always going to be an outlier, I think, though I fully expect him to get a handful of goals this season at some point. I think it's a matter of time because that's just the type of player he is. He's very good in the air. That's why he's called Air Force One. I think that's a perfect nickname. But, I mean, yeah, I give him a little bit extra maybe because kind of a mixture of what both of y'all said. He's being the complete teammate in the sense that he's taking a little bit of a leadership role. He was constantly in Caleb Wiley's ear as Caleb was on that left back position, helping him out. Not in a bad way, but I mean, just being a mentor to him. And he's working well with Miles. He was constantly gesturing, communicating, doing everything he needed to be. But he was also there in a couple of really sticky situations where had he not intervened, I mean, you look at that one mistake, I think it was started by Almada, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But anyway, it was due to the Red Bulls press, which we knew was going to happen. And you basically had Purata trying to play catch up while a Red Bulls player was about to be 1v1 against Guzan. And at the last second, he timed that challenge perfectly. And it was a fine line between being a penalty and catching the ball. And he caught the ball and saved a goal from happening. So, I think maybe I didn't give him a little bit higher because there was one good instance where he also was the cause of a turnover that almost led to Atlanta getting shafted. But again, recovered well, did everything he was supposed to do. And I think if he can keep up that form with Miles, and Miles didn't have maybe his best game, it's still great, but you see both of them starting to click together, and that's going to be a really, really steady, tough partnership back there.
By the way, before we get to our next player, you all probably saw me sneezing here on the feed. On mute, obviously, but it is springtime here in the South, and we all know what that means. So, just a little note.
Just real quick, there was a couple plays where Purata just seems like he gets nervous and he just does the first thing that comes to his mind. There was 2 times I noticed where Guzan was like ready to clear it, like it just had to go to him, and he was yelling at Purata, but Purata was just booting it out of the stadium, basically. And like you could tell Guzan, like he would just put his hands. I mean, he was yelling nonstop. Like if we could give a rating for Brad's yelling in that game, I would give it a 13 because I know that man yells all the time, but
as in PG-13
kept zooming. Yeah. I mean, they kept zooming in on him, and he was just yelling nonstop. And he was yelling at Purata a lot because, like, just let him get the ball back. There was, I think it was Purata, actually, where it looked like it would have been really close, like, that he didn't kick it backwards to Guzan because Guzan covered it up. He kind of kicked it just forward a slight bit. So that was smart because the way when I first saw it, I was like, oh, did he pass that backwards and Brad grabbed it? But no, he was smart. He kicked it like a millimeter forward, and then Brad touched it.
Yeah. And if you go back and watch the highlight, I say highlight videos, the recap video, I think the one on Apple, on that challenge that I was talking about before, where he stopped that, what was probably going to be a goal from happening. He gets up, and Brad, because Brad will go from yelling in anger and frustration to giving you the biggest like applause ever. And as soon as Purata stood up, I mean, we call him the polar bear, right? We call Guzan the polar bear. I mean, he like almost bear hugged Purata and shook him so hard it looked like he was like shaking like a 10-year-old boy. Like he just throwing Purata around. It was hilarious. But that's what Brad brings, and I think the back line they thrive off of it. You get the right guys back there. So for what it's worth, and I think we forgot to do this last week. Last week was a weird week anyway, but he got a 7.5 on FOTMob.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
And that leads us to our next one, which is going to be the Wonder Kid again, Thiago Almada.
Welcome back, Thiago Almada, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe a little bit of jet lag.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Here we go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have it backwards. Yeah,
I was going to say a 9.
I'm used to it saying 9, and I had to, give it a 6. It was.
You got to do what you got to do. So
I mean, I guess I fully don't understand assists still in the sport, but I thought that would have been an assist because it was basically created the chance, and then Giakoumakis just kicked in the rebound. Talking hockey now, but yeah, that was great. I mean, he created the play that started the goal, but after that, there was some shaky turnovers. One right at the end of the first half where Miles had to basically bail him out. And that's what got Miles that yellow, was just a bad pass that shouldn't have gone to Miles. And the Red Bulls took it, and he had to recover quick. A lot of these players didn't have much time to recover from, their friendlies or their party weekends that Almada probably had.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I get it. Like, it's going to happen.
But the fact that, to that point real quick, and here, before I go off on that, you gave him a 6. I gave him a 6.3. Sydney, you gave him a 5, right? If I'm not mistaken.
5. Okay. I'll explain why in a second.
Yeah. But But yeah, like the fact that you can have a group of players that come out after going on international duty, they're tired, they're jet lagged, and we'll talk about Giakoumakis and his travel, but Almada as well. I mean, Miles maybe not so much because he didn't have to travel as far, but still, like you got travel involved, a lot of travel, and they come out and they still get a win against a team that you've never beat in the regular season. It wasn't pretty. It was never going to be pretty, but they did it. And I mean, that's to be applauded. It wasn't the best performance. And I mean, that's why we're giving the numbers and we're going to explain our side of it, but you still won. So take it all day.
Yeah. Just taking into account Almada's performance, I think I tweeted it out yesterday. I think it was more due to the style of play that Red Bulls employ. I mean, you see a lot of times during the night, they're just double teaming Almada and he was just struggling to cope with it. And that's just their style. That's what Red Bull did to you. They are just constant in pressure, constant in just making your life a living, what, all 90 minutes. And Almada really fell victim to that. That's why I give it a 5. It was far from his best performance. Just poor passing, poor distribution, just poor decision making. But look, if this is his worst game in Atlanta United uniform, I think it'll be fine because, like you're saying, Tyler, just travel and get back into the swing of things, get into a training regimen with Atlanta United. So that plus kind of how Red Bull tend to approach a match really contributed to what was not his best performance. And I guess it's to be expected because not a lot of teams are able to solve that kind of style of play. But at the same time, Tyler, you get 3 points and try to get the train back on track next game. But I think he will. It's just a blip for him.
Yeah. And I think like, we could be harsh, obviously, because the dude still put a shot on goal that led to a goal. And it was a screamer of a shot. And the fact that it was coming from his favorite spot on the pitch to take a shot from. Like every time I watch that kid in that one particular zone, what's coming. And I think goalkeepers are starting to realize that. And, not to take anything away from him, but Coronel, the goalkeeper, didn't really do the best job either.
No, not at all.
I do agree with like Tommy, what you were saying. Like it's unfortunate that the assist doesn't count for Almada, but like you still have to give him credit for everything he did. You also have to give Derek Etienne credit for taking on his guy one-on-one on the outside. And then before that, you have to give Miles Robinson credit for the beautiful freaking long ball that he played over the top right to Etienne's feet. So the whole goal sequence was just a beautiful thing to watch. But if we're talking about Almada specifically for the whole match, I mean, he had some turnovers. He had some uncharacteristic passes. And it is what it is. But kind of like you were saying, Sydney, if this is his worst, like you're still doing better than quite a few other number 10s in this league on their best day. So we'll take it. Yep. And it's a win. A win's a win. So
dub. 3 points. I guess that means 2.
That's right. Oh, you know what? We got to. We got one more that we got to rate. I'm going to throw this at the end. And we'll get to it in a minute.
Okay.
I don't like curveballs.
I'm throwing a curveball. I'm throwing a curveball at the end.
Uh-oh.
All right, but the next player that is not a curveball, Giakoumakis. Got to talk about Giaco.
Don't call him Gigi because we get blown up on Twitter.
Oh,
because of it.
Yeah.
Do it.
That was my bad. I think
it's all right. Giaco. Tank. Gigi.
Tank.
Or not Gigi. I just said don't call him Gigi.
No, what are you doing?
Gio. It's not Gigi.
It is not Gigi. And it is not Giakoumakis either. It is Giakoumakis.
Giakoumakis.
Giakoumakis, yeah. All right. You ready?
Let's
sure.
Go. Wow.
Now I'm the lowest. Oh man.
All right. So
I gave him a 7.
I gave him a 7.5.
giving an 8. Ocho. And I'll kind of get into why. We already talked about Giakoumakis and just the style of player he is and the skill set that he provides as compared to the guy that was here before. Yeah.
No need to light the candle this
Right.
time.
Yeah. No, but yeah, Joseph Martinez, and I've said this time and time again, is a much different player than Giorgos Giakoumakis. And that's obvious. But what Giakoumakis can bring to the table that Joseph couldn't was that physical presence. He had this sliding tackle. Tyler, you and I were in the press box, and it looked like such a clumsy challenge in the moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, Giakoumakis is going to get sent off. But you saw the replay. It really was a clean tackle.
Yeah.
No studs. Maybe he clipped him just a little bit, but it just looked awkward in the moment. But
he got ball. He got ball for sure.
Yeah, he got the ball. He got the ball. And Pineda said after the match something to the effect of, I appreciate tackles like that. They aren't malicious, but they get the job done. And he was very pleased with Giakoumakis, putting himself on the line essentially and making that tackle because it sent a message that Atlanta weren't going to get pushed around on their home turf. So that was one part. Obviously, the goal got at him to follow up a massive mistake by Coronel, who should have, like we already said, should have done much, much better on Almada's shot. But it's a goal nonetheless, and that's 2 goals for him. And as Manny starts with Atlanta United, so really good to see him stay with the ball and not give up on the ball, stay with the ball and get cash in on a massive mistake by Coronel. So Giakoumakis, the match winner, and obviously the only goal of the match.
So for me, there's so much to talk about with Giakoumakis, and we could be here. We're definitely going to talk a lot more about it on Wednesday in the actual show. But I think the fact that we can talk about the striker and how he was all over the pitch is a big, big deal for Atlanta United. Giakoumakis is doing everything he's supposed to do. And this was another match where he probably could have had another one. Maybe not as many clear-cut chances for him in this one, but he definitely could have had another 1 or 2. So, and yeah, Tommy, you throwing up the number 2 sign for sure. Like he was doing everything, but like he was also so involved dropping back, and he dropped back so deep at times to help out the midfield, to help out trying to play through the press. And it's refreshing. It is a refreshing thing to see. I lost count because it wasn't something I was expecting to keep track of in this match, but I know he had 2 really good clearances. One I think was a header. One was him just kind of clearing the ball out of the box, but on defensive work in the box on some of Red Bull's corners. And you got used to it. Of course, we're always going to say the things about Joseph. Joseph was the guy that you stuck at the front post, and he was there. He had great aerial ability as well, but he was there to try to catch some of the lower ones and just send them up top to start a counter. Giakoumakis is in the mix, and he is, because he's so tall and he has such good aerial ability as well. And those are the things that kind of get lost, I think, a lot of times on strikers. We always talk about the goals, but like he's doing everything he's supposed to be doing and then some. So I say all that, but the goal was a goal. The goal is great. That challenge to me was like one of the highlights of the match, in my opinion. I cannot tell you how much it excites me to see a player put another team on notice like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like you guys said, I mean, it was a clean tackle. I mean, was it worthy of a yellow? Maybe, because he came in like a tank. Like the nickname definitely fit there. But it was just after Etienne got fouled, which he didn't get called a foul, but it was a foul. And Etienne had been getting hammered over and over again for like basically the whole second half up to that point. This was like in the 57th minute, I think. And Giakoumakis, I think he was clear, like the body language, everything. He was frustrated going into the half, and then coming out of the half, the same things kept happening. And I think he kind of took matters into his own hands. And he did say after the match, I would have felt terrible if I injured the guy, but also like, it kind of implied that what Pineda said, you got to put the teams on notice. Pineda even said things like that are part of what needs to happen so that the league and the referees respect Atlanta United.
Yep.
And I thought that was really big from Pineda because you haven't had those kind of enforcers. I mean, you have Ibarra, right? But since really like the Lorenowitz days and even like the Parkey days to an extent and LGP and some of those guys, you haven't really had the ones that other teams kind of have to watch over their shoulder for. And now you've got a Giakoumakis on the field. You've got Ibarra, who's playing extremely well. You've got other guys, Purata, we talked about him earlier, that are not afraid to get physical, like extracurricular physical. And that's part of soccer too. So I'm here for it. I think it was great, and I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see the attitude.
I don't have much to add, and you guys pretty much said it all. But I will challenge everybody to go back to the Apple broadcast and watch right before halftime started, or right after halftime ended. There's a video of Almada and Giakoumakis, and I forget who else. And
Ibarra.
I think
it was Ibarra. Yeah, I saw that too. They were having so much fun together. Yeah.
Like they were making some jokes, and it just looked like they were having fun. And then even like when after that challenge, and that guy, I forget who it was that went down. I think you said it, but he looked like he was dead. Like he looked like he got shot by a sniper. He gets back up, and Giakoumakis is just like grabbing him like by the shoulders and going, "You're okay." Like I assume that's what he was saying, but like you could tell he was screwing with him. Like, "Oh, I thought you were dead, but you're alive. Great, get back out there, man. Go get back out there."
Thought you guys wanted
I
to play
like his personality
game.
a lot.
Yeah, that's great.
Personality, and we've got it with quite a few players this season. Personality has been something that this team's lacked in for quite some time.
Yeah,
100%. All right, not much more to say about Giakoumakis, but I love everything I see from him. So moving forward, I guess we can do let's do Ibarra. Let's do Franco Ibarra real quick. Okay. Kind of throw a kind of a curveball.
All right, I'm ready.
Oh, by the way, sorry, I do have to point out because I don't think I pointed out Thiago Almada's rating on FOTMob was a 6.7, and I will get you Giakoumakis's in a second when I do Ibarra's. But I don't know if we forgot Almada's. So anyway, moving to Ibarra, what y'all got?
8.
6.5.
7.7. Just because I couldn't
physicality, baby. Physicality. That's how you beat the Red Bulls. You don't beat the Red Bulls without physicality. We have been terrible with physicality, and that is what we talked about last week. That was going to be. This was going to be just a beat 'em up type game. I think Giakoumakis said something on the lines of, "This was more like a Scottish game." Was that the quote? Yeah.
Yep. He said it felt more like a Scottish game than an American game.
Well, not really, because in Scotland there's like one team at the top every year, or the two teams at the top every year. But he said himself. So.
But I mean, they beat each other up, and for a guy like him, to be able to be smart and be physical with some of these guys, and they still have some young guys over at the Red Bulls. He was definitely somebody that seemed like he intimidated some of the younger players when they were attacking him.
Yeah, I think kind of what we were saying about Giakoumakis, but I mean, I think, and I think Sydney, even you said something to me yesterday in the press box within like the first 5 minutes. I mean, it was early, like 10 minutes maybe. We were like, Ibarra's not looking that great. And then I don't know what he changed, but he stood out immensely. He got everything. And then his stats by the end of it were just immense. Like he was all over the pitch, winning duels, causing turnovers. He really grew into the game. And it's nice to see that, he can have a kind of rough start settling in and then flip it and have a great match from there on out. And I think had he not done that, I really do think we would be having a different conversation about the result today, because that's how crucial he is.
No, I agree.
When Sydney, when they watch our shows and they hear Sydney say that we're going to lose, they come back and they win. When Sydney says in the press box, Ibarra's having a bad game, he hears it. He hears it, and he cranks it up.
Straight
City,
to his
just keep
ears.
bringing it. The players are going against you, and it's working. So let's just keep doing it.
Noted.
Despite everything Sydney says.
Exactly. No, yeah, just very sloppy with passing the ball early on. And Tyler, I told you this, but yeah, like you said, grew into the match and ended with a very good account of himself as far as the match was concerned. So it's good to see he could have hung his head, and really the entire team could have just folded. I tweeted this out the other last night. He could have just melted under the pressure like they have so many times against this Red Bulls side, but they didn't. I feel like Ibarra was a big part of that, and good on him to be able to overcome what really was kind of a shaky first little bit of the match and come back, excuse me, and be a part of the win, 3 points.
Yeah, and surprisingly, his FOT mob rating was an 8 even.
Okay.
I haven't looked at his
a little
rating.
high, but
yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at his ratings all year, but so the last match he played last year was against New York. He had a 6.4.
Okay.
Since then, since opening day, San Jose, 7.7, 7.9, 7.5, 7.1. His worst game was against the Timbers when they won 5-1. So he got I don't know about this. He got a 7.4 against Columbus. So whatever on that. And then the 8 yesterday. So yeah, I mean, FOT mob again. They're not perfect, but whatever. Giakoumakis, going back real quick, his was a 7.7 yesterday.
Okay.
So, all right. Moving forward to the next one is going to be playing back in his traditional position was Caleb Wiley.
Calebinho. That's our nickname for him. Calebinho.
I like it. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Holy
oh
whoa, we need to play the lottery. 777s, baby. That's awesome.
That's my wedding day. 777.
That's
really
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Caleb.
Good. I thought he was great. Like this was a hard game for you to go transition to a different position because it was going to be very physical, and I thought that he just did a fantastic job being able to hold up on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, he moved the ball forward. I mean, the entire team had some trouble moving the ball forward, but he was still able to do it and play his position, not look out of it on the defensive side. Good showing for him.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I mean, down in the locker room, I think one of my favorite quotes of the season was, he was talking about how, the left back position is his traditional position. That's what he grew up playing. So he's comfortable there and he has fun playing it, which I think is kind of an interesting quote. For like an 18-year-old, you think, oh, well, I would have more fun playing the left wing because I get to attack more. But he mentioned how much fun he has playing that left back position. But he just said, I just want to go out there and play soccer and have fun. I was like, good for you, buddy. That's awesome. And he was wearing the Atlanta Braves shirt last night in the locker room.
Yeah.
So kudos to him.
Yeah, I think he gave his kit to someone because I saw him walking. Yeah, I saw him walking off, walking to the locker room without his kit. So he gave it to someone in the stands. But yeah, that's just age 18. I think it's easy to forget. He's only 18 years old, but very poised. I didn't really spot any mistakes from him at that left back position. Not afraid, obviously, to get up in the attack as you like your left backs to do in that situation. But yeah, good strong performance for Caleb. Obviously didn't score, but it's good. Beggars can be choosers, right?
Right.
So.
You got to give some other people an opportunity occasionally.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I think my only real main point about his play was like he did everything he was supposed to do, and they weren't making it easy on that side, like him and Etienne, they were under a lot of pressure the whole match. They were getting pushed around a lot, and not that they didn't handle it; they handled it well, but the Red Bulls weren't making it easy, and he handled his own, and I think that's great. 18 years old, playing in a crucial defensive position, and he helped keep the clean sheet. So good for him. All right. Oh, and Fatma again. See, Fatma has been kind of weird. He got a 6.9 yesterday, so they were close to us. But they also gave him a 7.1 against Columbus.
Okay.
So I think the Columbus one, I think that whole week was just off. That was like a different dimension.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Nobody wanted to watch the game, so they just gave him random numbers.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to finish it.
They're using our ratings. They just pick a number. They go with it.
We didn't give any numbers that high. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah. All right. So moving on from Wiley, we have to, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but we got to talk about the ref.
Question mark. I got a question mark. Because I don't know what game he was watching half the time. Very inconsistent across the board.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say.
I put a frowny face.
And I put what? W-U-T.
No, Tommy, just like you said, just very consistent. Calls being made that calls not being made that should have been made. Calls not being made that should have been made. I don't know. I don't know if I just said that, but yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Long story short, inconsistent. You want the refereeing, want the officiating to be consistent, and I don't think it was. I think Shilowitz could have done a much better job throughout the night. I'm sure there are much harsher opinions out there in the Twitterverse that I won't go into, but yeah, just a poor match. Not the best officiating match I've ever seen. I guess one of those things. I'll say this too. I think Pineda, it kind of got the feeling that he's trying to choose his words carefully because he didn't want to get fined. But just not the best officiating match by Trilich and his crew on last night. And again, one of those things where Lady United could have just played just frustrated all night. But again, stuck together, got the win. So
yeah, I mean, again, I think there's much harsher words out there on Twitter, and I will say this: there have been in recent memory worse reffing choices that were made in Atlanta United matches than the ones last night. Chilowitz was just wildly inconsistent last night. My biggest, I think, gripe, some people want to talk about the run that Araujo had where he got clipped and fell in the box and then he got a yellow card for dissent. I mean, I don't think you can really argue with it. I mean,
it was never foul.
Yeah,
it was never foul.
And I do understand from Araujo's standpoint, he probably didn't realize that the defender got the ball because he's dribbling, he's looking on goal because he's about to take a shot. I don't think he ever realized the defender got the ball. So I understand his argument. Maybe not to the degree that you say something, dark artsy that you get a yellow like that early in the match, whatever. But I think my biggest gripe was the Almada and Coronel coming together where Coronel got his head busted open. I don't know that you could quite quantify that as a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity, but it was pretty close. The biggest thing is it was a foul. Like, whether you want to call a penalty or whatever, it needs to be called a foul. Like, Coronel didn't even play the ball at all. He body checked Almada out of the way, never touched the ball, never got the ball, and caused this 3-car pileup at the corner of the box. And Chilowitz is just like, yeah, keep playing, whatever, guys, it's all good. And then like a minute later, when Atlanta is back attacking again and about to take a shot from outside the box, then he stops play for Coronel head injury.
I don't understand that. Like, I was so confused.
Yeah, it was just a really bad sequence of events. And I think in that situation, you got to call the foul. Let VAR determine whether or not it was a penalty
exactly.
or whatever. But you got to call the foul. That was just really bad in my opinion.
I will say this real quick. Officiating was in the news a lot last night. Arena had a lot to say about a decision in the refs game, and then Vanny had some qualms about, I guess, a handball that wasn't called in their match. But I feel like LA have a lot more things to worry about than officiating decisions. They are bad.
Yeah, they are not sitting well right now.
One other rating we didn't do. I don't know what you guys would give it. We don't have to have anything put up, but Red Bull shooting. Because
I give it a 10.
I gave it an LOL because that was honestly, if you look at some of the shots that they had opportunities for, they were so wide.
Yeah.
Like it was like reminding me of Atlanta United last year, like where there were just so many shots, like just everywhere, like not even close. Like Brad was still getting mad though, because like after that shot would go way wide of him, he'd have some time to go yell at whoever. But I mean, there were definitely some opportunities for the Red Bulls to tie or win that game, and they could not hit the net to save their lives.
Yeah, they squandered a lot of chances, and I mean, I'll take it because that's what's so interesting about this game. Like it could have been honestly either way. It could have been, Atlanta getting another 2 and making it, 3-0.
Was that 2?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I said, oh, that poor guy, man. He just can't. Like, he played great when he came on, but he just can't catch a break. But it also could have went the other way, totally opposite, because the Red Bulls did have chances. So, but that's what they do to you, and it's just we're lucky that they don't really have a great finisher right now. So my curveball then, as far as ratings are concerned, and you guys don't have to give a number if you don't want to, but how about Trae Young hammering the spike against a New York team?
New Jersey.
So if nobody knows that story about Trae Young, a couple years ago in the playoffs,
Hold on, before you say that, this is a family-friendly show. So
okay. No, I know. They end up destroying the Knicks. I think it was 4-1. I think that was where the series. He finishes it off. He takes a bow in front of Madison Square Garden. And since that day, till this day, at Yankees games, at New York Rangers games, everywhere you could go, you see random videos, people walking, to the train, everything. Trae Young. Like Trae Young has broke the city of New York so much.
Living rent
and now
free.
you telling me I didn't even put it together that he did it for a New York game.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. So you made my day. That made that even better.
And I also judge my picture. It actually looks like a really bad attempt at like a religious drawing, but it's supposed to be an ice, like a snowflake. So y'all can take that screenshot and throw it up on the internet if you want to. But Ice Trae, living rent free in New York's head, and I think it's great.
That's why I landed one last night.
Absolutely,
that's pretty amazing.
There's a lot of things that happen here. The ice cream machine was broken up in the press box last night, and then we beat the Red Bulls for the first time in the regular season. So I might be bringing a screwdriver up into Mercedes-Benz Stadium next time. Cool. That is it. We went a little long, but we did, I think, more than we intended to initially. But it was fun, good time, and we got to give the episode after history was made a little bit of love. So I'm here for it. But that is the wrap on this edition of the Scarves and Spikes ratings video. Make sure you guys, as usual, following us on Twitter, Scarves, the letter N, Spikes, YouTube and Twitch, both, search for Scarves and Spikes. You'll find us. And if you haven't already, check out our Patreon, because that is what we're about to go record right now for those patrons that we have. So
patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes.
Cool.
Also be sure to like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe.
Yes, because we really want more subscribers, because it's what helps us get this stuff out.
Yes.
So,
Bird.
all right, guys. And we will see y'all again on Wednesday for the regular show.